What's up, guys? Kelly McKay, aka HVAC Millionaire, right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, hit the like button, and leave me a comment below. Hope all you guys are doing good. Hope you're crushing your summer. Hope you are making lots and lots of money. And I know here in Kansas we have had a heat wave. I mean, it is hot. It's a little bit different here in Kansas because we have a lot of humidity. Maybe not quite like some parts of Florida, and I haven't been to Florida in years, but I know Florida is extremely muggy and humid, but it gets that way here too. It's been relatively dry as far as rain goes. We haven't had much rain, but we've definitely got a lot of irrigation that happens because it's a lot of farmland, and so that obviously makes it a lot more humid as well. I also read, or actually my wife was just telling me that the humidity over time has ran like in the Arizona, in Arizona, because there's so many swimming pools there. So I thought that was interesting, and it makes sense, makes perfect sense. A lot of humidity being evaporated into the atmosphere. Especially the lower levels of the atmosphere, which is what we have here. That reminds me of like 410A when it came out. They were saying that it was good for the ozone, supposedly, or better, but it stayed in the lower atmosphere longer, which created a greenhouse effect, which was not good. So yeah, there's pros and cons to all of that stuff. But I just wanted to talk HVAC with you guys. You know, I started in 1996 and I got married. That's how I got started. I got married, went to work for my father-in-law. Same month I got married, by the way, so it makes it easy for me to remember like my anniversary into HVAC, because it's my anniversary into marriage. And I worked with my father-in-law for a few years, and then went to work for another company for a couple years, then went back to my father-in-law, then went to a different company, then went back to my father-in-law, then back to that company, and then went out on my own. So it sounds like a lot, but this was over the course of 12 years. So I did not jump around a whole lot. And right now, there is probably a little bit of jumping around going on, just looking for higher and higher wages. And if you're really good, then by all means, make that money. However, just because of the shortage in our industry for qualified people with integrity who have communication skills and all of those things, not just the hard work that it takes and the unpredictable hours that you can work and things like that. I think eventually there will be like a shift in that stuff. So if you've hopped around from job to job, I think that you got to do what's right for your family, for one thing. I've had several guys owning my business that left and went to work for different companies, and in the heat of the moment, yeah, I felt, for one, the first thing I feel is just that I failed as a leader. And there was a great deal of that, a great deal of failure as a leader. And after that initial shock or whatever, feeling like a failure, then I realized that people will always do what's best for them, and I just want to, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, even though it kind of hurts in the moment. So keep that in mind, as you're growing your business and you're adding people, like, people will always do what's best for them. And so it's pretty amazing to me when you have companies out there that are having these, 87% retention rate with employees. And that is phenomenal. And so one of the things that I'll tell you when it comes to keeping people, that if you really want to keep them, if they decide to leave or they come to you, first off, we want to be proactive. We want to give lots and lots of appreciation. There's something that's called the Losada line, and this is after this dude that was a psychologist. I believe he was a psychologist, but he also went out and he was a business consultant. And what he found was, his name is Marshall Losada. And what he found is there's a 3-to-1 ratio. So 3 praise, appreciation, whatever you're doing for that, versus 1 like, hey, we need to do better than that. Like some not I guess maybe getting on to somebody, or trying to push them back up and get their confidence back so they can perform better. Whatever the case, something that could be viewed as negative. Even if it's like a write-up or talking to somebody, the more we can praise versus do those things, the better. And that definitely gets neglected during this time of year, because especially as an owner of a smaller company, you get so busy and you have so many people like vying for your attention because they need your help. They've got questions and stuff, and so you wind up getting distracted and you don't pay enough attention to all the people out there working their tails off, and the dispatchers and your warehouse guy, and they're working hard. So it's something that I never felt like I was really good at. I feel like my general manager was pretty darn good at that. But it still needed to come from me too, and it didn't come as often as it should have. So I just want to, tell you guys that, make sure that you give more praise. And if you've read Carol Dweck's book called Mindset, she says the way to praise is to talk about progress, effort, choices, and strategy. Progress, effort, choices, and strategy. So it's never just a conversation like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do without you. You're so amazing. Thank you so much. Like, that's not the way to praise. You want to let them know that, hey, the progress you're making, I just want you to know I'm seeing it. Like, you're doing a great job, and just keep it up, man. If you need anything from me, don't ever hesitate to call or step into my office or whatever the case. If you need something, reach out to me. So progress, effort, choice, and strategy. The reason that that's so important is because if you start praising people, like when we're kids, and this is where the psychology and the studies came into play, is, kids would get labels. And we've all seen this. I just hope we're not making those mistakes with our own kids. But it would be like, oh, he's a little math wizard. He loves math. He's so good at math, right? Well, that makes the kid feel like he has to do well in math, and it puts a lot of pressure on someone. And so we don't want to put that pressure on them. We want them to stay open-minded and just do. Of course they're going to have strengths and weaknesses, but there's just a way we need to praise people. Another thing is to not, if something didn't go their way, say for instance there was a track meet, or let's say a basketball game. There's a basketball game, and the kids, maybe the team lost because they just couldn't quite pull it together. And for us to, as soon as that kid gets in the car, I know what some parents do is they immediately go into, oh, you guys should have won. You should have done, those refs were no good. Like, immediately putting blame on other people or circumstances that didn't bring home the W. Definitely do not want to do that. That's a victim mentality. You're just teaching people, you're teaching these little kids that it's never their fault. Like, they would have won if it weren't for these circumstances, weren't for that person or this person. And so you're just training them to be victims. Well, that's the same with your team. You don't want to train them to be victims. Don't say, well, that customer's just crazy. Of course some customers are crazy, but don't just always dismiss everything, is what I'm saying. Because we can always improve. We can always get better. We can always, try something different to get a different result. So So yeah, I'm, you know, I haven't, I haven't posted a long video in quite a while, and I'm just shooting this from my phone, so I apologize for the quality. I know some people complain about the quality. But anyhow, I don't want to get out my camera. I'm not ready for that. I am going to create a course, another course. And so if any of you guys are interested in just growing your HVAC business, I'm always leave the link below to watch the free training that I made for you guys. And, you know, give me a call. Let me help you build your business to 2 million and beyond, because that's something I know how to do, and I'm saying in any market, 2 million and beyond in any market. Or if you're not in a big enough market to support 2 million, you're in a very tiny market, well, we can still get a lot more from what you're currently doing. Not adding any more customers, none of that stuff, just working smarter, not harder. And there's all kinds of things that I've learned in this industry, and I like to share those. But I also took me years and years to build that information, and I built a course that you also get if you decide to reach out and have a conversation with me. And that course has got basically every single thing I ever did to create my business, where we, you know, the last couple of years we consistently did right about $2 million in a very, very tough market. Very, very tough market. Not all markets are created equal. For one thing, I'll tell you, it is a lot easier if you're in a great market, a great big market with millions of people where the weather is hot. Things are easier because there's a lot more people to pick from to join your company. There is, you know, the weather. Let's face it, we are weather driven. Now, there's tons of things that you can do to solve that problem, to not just be weather driven, but there's, without question, when the weather is super hot or super cold, the phone rings more, period, naturally. And so to be in a market like that is great, but we don't all have that luxury. We didn't all think before we opened our businesses. We didn't all say, wait a minute, do I want to really open a business here in this market, or should I move and open a business in a market where I could be way more prosperous and have a lot more business and actually have way more potential to grow? There's potential to grow in any market, but there's a lot more potential in some specific markets. You know, all these giant companies that are doing 100 million, 150 million, that have multiple locations, like dozens of locations, or, you know, 10 or 12 locations. You know, typically it's you know, for one, it's a big market, or they've figured out how to run a remote shop, you know, to have the right people. It's all about having the right people. I actually owned 2 locations at one time for a couple of years. And so one of those locations, I just didn't have the right person to go put in that location. And I didn't want to drive there every day, so I was being lazy. And because of my laziness, that location pretty much just failed. So I went ahead and shut it down. It didn't even get a chance. You know, I didn't give it the proper attention that it needed. We probably weren't in the best position to open in 2 different places. I was just hungry for growth. And so it's probably a mistake, looking back on it. But one of the things that I learned recently is that when it comes to like your location, and this was, I cannot think of his name, but well known in the industry, in certain parts of the industry, and he wrote a book recently, and I read that book, and one thing they really said that really made sense was that if you're you know, you'll grow, like you put a baby shark in a shark tank. Well, the bigger the tank, the bigger the shark grows. And a lot of different fish are like that. They will only grow so big until you move them into a bigger tank. Then they'll grow more. And so the same applies to business. You know, if you're in a small building and you want to grow, you may have to move to a different building. And then what you're going to find is you'll quickly outgrow that building. And so that's what we did. I've told the story about the little bitty shop that we had That shop was, oh man, like it was probably 600 square feet, like really small. And I couldn't even get an air conditioner through the front door. And, we operated there for about 2 years. And in the meantime, my credit was being repaired just by me making better financial choices. And then I was able to buy another building. And that building, I want to say, is like 2,500 square foot. And so we were close to outgrowing that building. But at this point, I'm not really going to know, because here a couple of years ago, I know I'm all over the place here, but just stay with me. A couple of years ago, I decided that, I wasn't, despite what I've read about business, like a lot of companies never hit full stride until they're like 25 years old, believe it or not. That's all businesses though, so it could be a little bit different in the HVAC industry, but just businesses as a whole, they can really start to begin to create wealth and hit strides at 25 years old. So there's plenty of time to, if you make it past that first year, the first 5 years, the first 10 years, if you make it past that, unless you make some really huge mistake, you can stay in business for a long, long time. Of course, there may be some down years, because things just didn't go how you planned them, because that's business. Things don't ever seem to go most of the time how you planned them. But a couple of years ago, I had made the choice to say, I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to be in the HVAC industry. I don't want to own a business forever. There's a lot of stress, a lot of headache, dealing with people. And in my area, like, people are scarce, very scarce. And for a smaller company like me, it's really hard to find people to join my organization. And because of all the mistakes I made in leadership, I had lost a lot of people too. And so I was learning along the way, that's all I can say. But anyhow, I made this decision that I wasn't going to do this forever. And so I went and visited with a lawyer about succession planning. And so that kind of set things in motion. And basically a month and a week ago or so, I exited my business. And so I really wasn't planning to exit so soon. I thought another 2 to 5 years. I really had planned and even talked to my wife about staying in for 2 more years, just pushing and growing as much as we could in 2 years, and then exiting. But it just came sooner. And so for the first time in 25 years, I'm not running service calls, I'm not doing installs, I'm not managing a team anymore, just not doing that. Instead, I'm focusing all my time and attention towards coaching other people that might not be in the best of markets, even if they're in a great market, like just helping them get where I was able to get way faster than what it took me to get there, because I took far too long. And that's long enough that you can quickly burn out. I was burnt out many times over the past 14 years of owning my company. Lots and lots of burnout. And so I also neglected things at my house. I neglected my family. I neglected my health. I neglected a lot of stuff. And so what I do now is help other business owners not neglect those things that are so important while they're growing their business, and helping them make a lot less mistakes than all the mistakes that I made. And it's been great, and man, the results are blowing me away, what these people are doing. So it's really awesome. I really enjoy that, so that's what I'm spending my time on. But it's really weird. I here again, I'm making a huge transition. Making the transition also from being in a truck all day to moving into an office. Huge transition. very difficult to get through. So I also help people realize that and get through it, because it's difficult. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that that's what's going on. So if you watch this at least this long, then you'll know that, you know, Kelly is not an owner anymore, which is really strange. It was part of my identity, and it was part of my... So Tony Robbins talks about the 6 basic human needs, and these are needs that we all, if we don't have any of these, we seek them, right? And so the first one is significance, and the next one is certainty, and then the next one is uncertainty, loving connection, growth, and contribution. And so one of the reasons why I do YouTube is because it fills a lot of those needs for me. Needs that maybe I don't get other places, and especially now since my business, I'm not running a business anymore, not running an HVAC business, I'm still running a coaching business. Then I'm partners actually on a coaching business. Well, then there's a lot of my needs that the business fulfilled, I'm not receiving anymore. And so, but the great news is I've got a really great support system, and you know, I've talked to my wife about it. She understands. She's been helping me through it, and it's all good. I'm really excited for the next chapter of my life. It's weird, but one of the things that I truly love is creating things. So I love learning and creating. Like, I have to do those things, and I've been doing those things for 4 years now, 3 or 4 years, since I first built my first course at HVACServiceReady.com. And so I'm going to be adding more to that. We're going to find ways to get people in there that might not have the money to join right now for the coaching part, because, you know, there is a cost to that. I mean, you're going to pay that cost for, when it comes to education, you're going to pay for it one way or another. So anyhow, got the mailman pulling up to my house. I'll let you guys go make money. Boom.